Well, the UK will begin offering COVID booster jabs to 32 million Brits starting next month. All adults over the age of 50 and people classed as clinically vulnerable will be given the Pfizer booster, irrespective of which vaccine they've had previously. Around 2,000 pharmacies will be rolling out the scheme with the aim of delivering almost 2.5 million third doses a week. Let's talk now to Dr. Richard Stanton, who's a virologist from Cardiff University. Dr. Stanton, welcome. Why are some European countries keen to roll out booster jabs, third vaccinations, while the World Health Organization experts and the US Health Agency, the CDC experts, say there's still no real scientific evidence to suggest that boosters are needed just at the moment? Are these booster jabs pointless?
So it's partly the case that it's not going to hurt. We know that all immune responses begin to drop over time, and that's particularly more of a problem in people who are older. And we also know those people who are older are more likely to get really serious COVID disease. And so partly it's about just making sure that those people who are more vulnerable are definitely protected. It's also a little bit about, it depends what vaccine you had in the first place. You know, we heard there from that story in Hungary that a lot of people there had this Sinopharm vaccine, and potentially the amount of immunity you get and how long that immunity lasts is a little bit lower and a little bit weaker, a bit less long-lived with Sinopharm than we might see with the AstraZeneca and the Pfizer vaccines that have been mainly used in the UK. So I think when you put all those things together, it's at the moment, it's a little bit of a belt and braces approach. Certainly in the UK, where we've had these vaccines that last for a long time, it may be less required. But in places where the vaccines, just Sinopharm, have been used, maybe there's a bit more of a requirement there for it.
Months and months ago, I think we were told that some of these vaccines, like Pfizer, could offer protection that might last for years. I wonder, are booster jabs different to the original jab that we might have received?
So there's been a lot of work done on this, and we're all aware of the virus mutating, and so the companies that developed the original vaccines have been watching the virus mutate and developing newer vaccines that are better matches for the viruses that are circulating at the moment. But I've not seen definitive evidence yet as to what these new boosters might be, whether they will match the new variants or the old variants. And probably it's not the most important point. The most important point really is that what we're trying to do here is to make sure that everyone has a really strong immune response, particularly those patients who maybe didn't respond that well to the vaccine the first time round, particularly elderly people whose vaccine responses may drop a bit more over time compared to younger people. So I think it's not the most important question is whether the vaccine matches the new variants. It's just what is your overall level of antibodies that you have and immune responses.
OK, do we have a sense of how long immunity lasts, and is there a difference depending on which vaccine you've had?
So we know that with the Pfizer and the AstraZeneca, if you look at healthy younger people, those vaccines, those immune responses last for at least a year. We haven't got data beyond that, but certainly up to a year, the immune responses are good. And it is still the case that these vaccines are going to be really good at stopping you getting severely ill, stopping you dying from the virus easily up to a year. But what perhaps we don't know is there are some patients or some people who don't develop good responses in the first place. And we know that potentially in older people, those responses may wane a little bit more quickly, they may drop a little bit faster, and it does, as we've said, depend on the vaccine you've had. So I think the AstraZeneca and the Pfizer vaccines we have in the UK, there's really good evidence they're going to give good long-lasting immunity. Some of the other vaccines perhaps drop off a little more quickly.
The World Health Organization says that wealthy countries shouldn't really be focusing on COVID-19 booster jabs, third vaccinations, while large parts of the world still remain unvaccinated, even with a first jab. It's a fair point, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think this discussion about it goes hand in hand with the discussion about do vaccinate younger people as well and children too. What's the best way of getting the world back on track? And I think actually, if you look across the whole world, there is a good argument for getting the vaccines that we have to other countries first, to try and limit the production of new variants as well. I think that's a very good argument, a very good discussion that needs to be had around that area for sure.
Dr. Richard Stanton at Cardiff University, thank you very much.